There was only one option left, something he'd never considered before: the Jedi. Anakin would need the Jedi. He went to Coruscant, directly to the Jedi Temple. No hiding, no deception. He walked into the council chambers and told them everything. Chancellor Palpatine was a Sith Lord. He'd been manipulating the Republic for years. Sidious was planning to take over. The Clone Wars that was starting, it was his creation. The Jedi High Council was very skeptical. They could sense the immense Force aura from Anakin, but they were totally confused. The council asked, "Who are you?" Anakin took a deep breath and said, "Welcome to Star Wars District. I hope you are doing well. Please hit the hype button or like and subscribe to my channel. I need your help to grow." Now, what if the Skywalker family were never slaves? How would that change things? Let's continue the story. Shmi Skywalker was exhausted. Another long and hard day of slaving at work. There was so much sand in the equipment today. She clocked out of her shift and her assistant drove her home. "I don't like sand," Shmi thought to herself as she sipped her chilled Alderaanian brandy and watched the HoloNet for news stories. The Perry Nemo NewsHour was speaking about a slave rebellion in the Outer Rim, but Shmi found it hard to be 100% concerned because she never knew slavery. As a businesswoman, Shmi was firm at times, but she was always kind to her assistant and staff. She lived free her whole life, and currently she is a resident of the planet Kiros, an artisan world near the planet Naboo. Clean air, beautiful cities, hope for the future. She worked with Kuat Drive yards with good pay and respect. When Anakin was born, she could afford the best doctors, the best education, the best life. Anakin grew up rich, privileged but with morals. Shmi did not play that game, but something was different about Anakin. He could sense things before they happened, move objects without touching them, and his reflexes were impossible to match. When he raced pod racers, he never lost, and when he built droids, they worked perfectly on the first try. But nobody knew what it meant. Time went on. The Jedi never found him, never tested him, never took him away. He was just a gifted rich kid in a peaceful world. Then he turned 17, and that's when he met Sheev Palpatine. Palpatine was visiting Kiros on business and a chance to relax some. Already a senator from Naboo, Palpatine was ambitious, brilliant, and charming. Anakin and Sheev met at a charity gala. Shmi's company was sponsoring scholarships for young engineers. Anakin was there representing the family. Palpatine noticed him immediately. This young man had presence and more. Power. Something special radiated from him. They talked for hours about philosophy, about politics, the nature of power itself. Anakin was fascinated. Here was someone who understood ambition, who saw the galaxy's potential. Palpatine saw something else. This boy had the same gift he did. Force sensitivity, raw, untrained, and massive. But Palpatine didn't reveal his own abilities, not yet. Instead, he became somewhat of a mentor to Anakin, a friend, almost like an older brother. Years passed, and Anakin and Palpatine grew close. Palpatine taught him about the real galaxy, how politics worked, how power flowed, how to read people and influence them. Anakin was a quick learner, too quick. He absorbed everything Palpatine shared and soon began developing his own ideas. Sheev then slowly started revealing deeper truths. The rumored Force was real. It exists and some people could even use it. He declared that Anakin was one of them, and so was he. But Palpatine never called himself a Sith. Instead, he presented himself as a free thinker, someone who believed the Force shouldn't be restricted by ancient dogma. He taught Anakin basic Force techniques, moving objects, reading emotions, enhancing his physical and mental abilities. Surface-level stuff, nothing too dark. Anakin was amazed. Everything about his childhood instantly made sense now. His unusual gifts, his strange intuitions, all made such sense. He wanted to learn more. Palpatine shared his vision. The galaxy was broken, corrupt, the Republic was failing, the Jedi were proud, ineffective, blind guardians of a dying system. Someone needed to fix it, someone with vision, with the will to do what was necessary, with power. Anakin agreed, but his approach was different. Palpatine believed in control through fear. He wanted to rule. Anakin believed in leadership through example. He wanted to inspire. They were both Force-sensitive, both ambitious, but their philosophies started diverging. Anakin developed light side techniques for healing and protection. Plus, dark side methods for strength and influence. Balance was the key. Palpatine pretended to agree, but secretly, he was disappointed. This boy had such potential, such power. Why waste it on moderation? Despite their differences, they hatched a plan to reform the galaxy. Palpatine would rise through legitimate political channels, become chancellor, then reshape the Republic from within. Anakin would build a network of supporters, other Force sensitives who shared their vision. People with wealth, influence, and power. They would work together, create a new order, a better galaxy. But as their plan developed, the cracks were forming. Everything changed when Anakin discovered Palpatine's true nature. Anakin was 25 years old, wildly powerful in the Force, wealthy, influential. He'd successfully built his own organization of Force users, all who followed his balanced philosophy. During a meeting at Palpatine's private estate, Anakin sensed something. A presence in the Force, dark, ancient, familiar. He followed the feeling to Palpatine's private study. Behind a hidden panel, he found a shrine, dozens of Sith artifacts, holocrons, and lightsabers of fallen Jedi. Palpatine found him there. Years of the truth finally came out. Sheev Palpatine was a Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, ultra-powerful and corrupt. He'd been manipulating Anakin for years, using him, preparing him to become an apprentice. But Anakin wasn't the same broken slave boy from the original timeline. He'd developed his own power base. He didn't kneel. He didn't submit. Anakin had silently declared war. Both men still had some of their big brother, little brother respect for each other, so they did not battle each other. However, the galaxy suddenly had three factions. The Republic and Jedi on one side, still blind to the true threat, still believing in their failing system. Palpatine and his Sith followers on another, working in the shadows, building power through deception and fear, and Anakin's Grey Order in the middle. Force users who rejected both extremes, who wanted change but refused to embrace tyranny or blind dogma. Anakin knew he needed allies. His Grey followers were powerful, but few. Palpatine had resources, political connections, and centuries of Sith knowledge. There was only one option, something he'd never considered before. The Jedi. Anakin would need the Jedi. Anakin went to Coruscant, directly to the Jedi Temple. No hiding, no deception. He walked into the council chambers and told them everything. Palpatine was a Sith Lord. He'd been manipulating the Republic for years. He was planning to take over. The Clone Wars were his creation. The Jedi were skeptical at first. Who was this rich young man with no training? Why should they trust him? Then Anakin demonstrated his power, Force abilities they'd never seen, techniques that blended light and dark without corruption, a balance they thought impossible. Master Yoda was intrigued. This boy was the strongest Force user he'd ever encountered, stronger than any Jedi, maybe stronger than any Sith, but his training was wrong, dangerous. He mixed light and dark like ingredients in a recipe, yet he wasn't fallen, wasn't evil. He was something new. So the Jedi faced an impossible choice: work with this Grey Force user who broke every rule they believed in, or face the Sith alone while Palpatine controlled the Republic. Master Windu argued against it. The boy was too dangerous, too unpredictable. The dark side would consume him eventually. But Master Yoda disagreed. The boy was powerful but not evil, arrogant but not cruel. Perhaps their rigid thinking had been wrong. Obi-Wan was assigned as liaison. Get to know this Anakin Skywalker, Yoda declared. Learn his methods, determine if he could be trusted. What Obi-Wan found surprised him. Anakin had created something truly unique. A Force order that helped people without demanding obedience, that used power without being corrupted by it. His followers weren't monks or warriors. They were doctors, farmers, engineers, teachers, and leaders. They used the Force to improve lives, not control them. It was everything the Jedi claimed to be, but somehow just weren't. And then, the Clone Wars erupted across the galaxy. Palpatine had his clone army ready. He manipulated both Republic and Separatist forces. His grand plan was finally in motion, but something was wrong. Organized opposition appeared everywhere. Anakin's Grey Order worked in the open. They landed on planets under attack, protected civilians, exposed enemy agents, disrupted military operations. The Jedi struggled with this new reality. Here was someone who ignored their teachings but accomplished their missions. He saved lives, brought peace, and won battles. Anakin fought with twin Force pikes, crackling with electricity. No lightsaber, no traditional forms. He mixed Force powers with advanced technology and raw aggression instead. For the Jedi, his effectiveness was internally terrifying to witness. Palpatine watched his careful plans unravel. This wasn't supposed to happen. Anakin should have been his apprentice. Instead, he'd become his greatest threat. 2 years into the war, Palpatine made his move. He revealed himself to the Republic as he'd always planned. The Jedi were traitors. He needed emergency powers. The war required strong leadership. But this time, Anakin was ready. He had been getting ready for this moment since they split, and his team had the proof, recordings and evidence of Palpatine's manipulation. When Palpatine declared himself Emperor, Anakin shared the truth across the galaxy. Every news network, every planetary government, every military leader. The proof was clear. Palpatine wasn't a strong leader trying to save the Republic. He was a Sith Lord who had started the war. It was in the Senate chambers that Palpatine had claimed ultimate power. Anakin walked in alone. No weapons, no army, just his own strength and will. The chamber was packed. Senators, guards, media, the entire galaxy was watching. Palpatine tried his usual manipulation. Anakin was young, a bit reckless, and completely inexperienced in the ways of government. But Anakin's response was simple. He challenged Palpatine to a duel. Winner takes control of the Republic. Palpatine couldn't refuse without looking weak. He accepted. Pure Force combat erupted. Palpatine unleashed everything. Force lightning, telekinesis, mind control, centuries of Sith knowledge and power. Anakin countered with techniques his opponent had never seen. He absorbed the lightning and redirected it, using the dark side to attack and to fuel his own defenses, turning Palpatine's power against him. The battle tore through the Senate chamber. Senators fled, guards took cover, and the building itself began to collapse. The Jedi did not interfere with the battle. They sensed danger. But Anakin wasn't trying to kill Palpatine. He was making a point. The Sith way was flawed. Pure dark side power destroyed everything, including the one who wielded it. Anakin's gray approach was different. He could use Palpatine's attacks to grow stronger. In the end, Palpatine was beaten but not dead. Anakin stood over his former mentor. The galaxy watched. One choice would determine everything: kill Palpatine and prove that power corrupted everyone, or show mercy and demonstrate that there was another way. Anakin made his choice. He helped Palpatine to his feet, publicly forgave him, offered him a chance at redemption. Here was someone with ultimate power who chose compassion over revenge. And Palpatine, outmatched, fully revealed, broken, and defeated, accepted Anakin's offer. He stripped Palpatine of his political power but kept him as an advisor under constant supervision. His knowledge of manipulation and statecraft was too valuable to waste. Anakin declared himself Supreme Chancellor. The galaxy held its breath. But Anakin's rule brought unprecedented peace. Crime vanished, poverty ended, wars stopped. But once the major threat of Palpatine had been successfully squashed, Supreme Chancellor Skywalker began to worry about how to keep his perfected galaxy thriving. Soon the senators began selfish plotting again. The Jedi High Council was too busy dealing with the sheer number of Jedi openly questioning the dark and light side philosophy of the Order. Anakin had to admit that his advisors were not doing the best job. The only one that seemed to be making true sense was Palpatine. Anakin began to secretly meet with his former mentor. Sadly, Anakin began to rely on his council more and more. Chancellor Skywalker began to realize he would have to take control of the situation. Planet-wide, he monitored every communication, tracked every citizen, predicted every threat before it materialized. His Grey Order became his eyes and ears across the galaxy. Those who resisted were relocated, reformed, made to see the error of their ways. No executions, no violence, just gentle correction until they agreed. His solution was elegant: mandatory re-education camps. Everyone would be taught the proper way to think, to feel, to exist. It was for their own good. Mind control became standard procedure. Why waste time convincing people when Anakin could simply make them agree? Why allow dissent when you could eliminate the desire for it? Anakin told himself he was helping them, freeing them from the burden of wrong choices, creating true happiness through enforced contentment. The Force whispered that this was justice, that peace required sacrifice, that his way was the only way. Anakin listened. Children were taken from parents deemed unfit, raised in state facilities to be perfect citizens. Art was regulated to promote proper thoughts. History was rewritten to support the new order, all in the name of peace. When Obi-Wan confronted him one last time, Anakin no longer spoke of choice or freedom, only of necessity. The galaxy was his responsibility. Its people were his children, and children needed firm guidance. Anakin had become everything the Sith promised, but through his own twisted compassion. Mace Windu was correct. Kenobi thought to himself. Obi-Wan drew his lightsaber. Anakin smiled sadly and crushed it with his mind. The old Jedi saw the truth in those eyes. The dark side had corrupted Anakin. He was the new Sith Emperor. Let me know if you like this fan fiction. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Check out my other videos while I work on my next vid. Thank you and take care. Peace. Prosody.